What up, what up? It's the Cam Meekins Show. I'm in here live with my guy, Albert Samano, master trainer, 16 years in the game, my personal trainer to a lot of my friends, a good friend of mine for a long, long time. Thanks for coming on the show, bro.
Nice to see you, Cam, as always. I actually trained you just an hour ago.
Like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's
we
nice
got that.
See you still.
We got that post-workout glow going, you know.
That's it.
But so you've been training for 16 years. And in the last year, you've done 3,000 virtual sessions. So maybe give me a little bit of background about just the last 16 years of your life and now this new transition you've made. Has that been crazy for you, or you just took it in stride?
Bro, when I first started training, man, like every new trainer, you're a towel picker-upper. Like you just walk around, man, and just, hey, can I get you anything? That kind of situation. And then what started happening because of the gym and the area that we were in, maybe due to my personality or my hard work or the hours that I put in at the gym, because my pops, I was broke when I first started training, man, like very, very broke. My pops would drop me off on his way to work. That was like at 8 in the morning. And then my shift started around 3 p.m. So I'd work out, but also just try to talk to members and, hey, do you need anything? That kind of thing. And at 3 p.m., I'd work till 11. That was the old shifts over at the Boston Sports Club. And then at 11, my mom or my dad would pick me up at night. And, which is tough, man. I remember, dude, I was like your age now. Like, I was like 26, 27. And so it was one of these games, man, where it was just like time to hustle. And where I was coming from Boulder, man, it was a different kind of hustle. And so when I moved out here, I was like, man, I just got to get a job, mom and dad. And mom and dad were like, you got to get a career. You don't want to just get a job. Like if you want to go work at Starbucks, man, you can do that, but we want you to get a career and a path. And to be honest with you, Cam, I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful. So I went, I lived with them, and I stayed on their pull-out couch in the basement. I had 2 little brothers. It was great, but it was very, it was a very, very cool period of our lives, for everything, for my brothers, for my parents. We're all in one house, and it was a big house. And houses in the Northeast cost a lot of money. And so we were just chilling in it. It was really nice. And then what happened with the training is I got more and more clients. And then eventually I think I traded some sessions for Jeep. No, it was a Explorer. And the guy was like, yeah, I'll buy it for you, man. It was like $1,000 Explorer. So now I had a ride. And then now I have rent money. So I rented this place in town where the gym was. And it was a cool, it was drafty, man. It was almost like a frat house, but it wasn't. It was me and like 2 other guys, eventually me and this one other guy, Hemmel, that I worked with for 15 years. So we were there, man, and I was just hustling and grinding. But like everything, man, you start to plateau for a bit. And then I went to go see this therapist, man. I was like, yeah, plateau. He's like, yeah, put all your energy into work. Don't put it anywhere else. Don't put it into like ladies or anything like that. Put it all into work. And I did, man. And then boop, and then it went up, and then I stayed up. And so I appreciate that guy a lot and that kind of advice.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. I mean, I've always seen you as this dude who's just living it, full time. You're like a lifestyle with your business. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that you do comes back to your business, your relationship with your clients. I mean, you and I have been friends for what? 10 plus years, more than that.
Yeah, dude, for like
let me almost
see,
15 years maybe.
You just had your birthday, man, and I met you so happy birthday. I met you when you were 14 or 15. I don't remember if you were in 8th grade or 9th grade.
Yeah.
But I remember that, man. I remember some weird that's another
you got a crazy memory, which is why I wanted to bring you on the podcast, because that makes for some good
things just
content.
like trigger a memory, and then I'm like, because I remember you coming in, man. It was like, I mean, and I don't know if any of these guys have seen you in person, man, but you're a long dude, man. You know what I mean? It's a long ass Cam comes in, 8th, 9th grader, you know what I mean? And I'm like, but then you started talking, bro, and you were OG. Like it was like you were OG. And so it was really cool to train kids where you didn't have to like get them to be more chill. And you were chill, and you spoke with confidence, and you spoke like you had something to say when you had something to say. And if you didn't have something to say, you should do what we all should do, which is shut the fuck up, And so if you had something to say, man, I wanted to listen. Okay, cool, man. And then you were appreciating that I was OG, man, because again, man, I was listening to rap in the 90s. you know. And so I was like, yeah, blah 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 blah. And you're like, all right, cool. And that's kind of what started it. And then obviously you came back later, man, after you started your musical career, and you told me that you're like, yo, man, I'm a musician. I'm like, get the fuck out of there, whatever. And you're like, no, Google me. I'm like, man, I'm not fucking Google you,
Right.
man. You know what I mean? I got an iPhone Razor. I got a Razor Motorola. You know, I'm not gonna.
I can't even
I'm not
Google
gonna
on
Google
this.
you, dog. And then I went to the office. I was like,
Right.
I can't, because I was like, oh, this dude's hot shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is great. This is wonderful. You know what I mean? Cool, man. Yeah, let's get some sessions on, dog. Like,
Hey, let's go.
let's go,
Yeah.
man. Put me on Instagram. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. So
Hit those 45s.
exactly, dude. And that's also a big day, dog. Like, you know what I mean? When I got you to press, like, you know what I mean? Those plates on the side, man. It's a good day because it's an accomplishment, and to be there with somebody during that accomplishment is always a good thing, bro. It's a good thing for trainers.
Yeah. Why do you feel like you have that connection like that? I mean, that's one of the things that I've always seen is like, you're so invested in all of your clients. Like is it just your personality? Was that always the case when you first started, or, you just kind of fell in love with the game and you just,
all right, dog. All right.
You're a people person.
Here's what it is. Okay. So I know I'm an introvert. I don't seem like I'm an introvert, but I am an introvert. But I'm super empathetic. And that's not something that sprung out of me. That's how I've always been as a kid. Like, which is like, you're going to hit him in the face. I'm going to hit you in the face, but then I'm going to apologize to you. You know what I mean? Like, cause you just got hit in the face,
right.
And I don't like that, you know? So I've been this empathetic dude all my life, and it's cool for this game that I'm in, but it's also not cool, man, because I can't watch like puppy videos, dog. I can't watch, like, you know what I mean? I can't watch, the dog comes home, like, there was a forest fire and then the dog comes home and he's reunited, and I'm just like, and Sarah's not like that. Like, it's just, it's a tough one, man. Like, I'm more emotional than my two brothers, but that's the other aspect of me, man. I got two little brothers. One's 10 and a half years younger than me, Michael, and then the other one's 18 years younger than me. He was born my summer after senior year. And I can be a big brother. I can be like, that's one of the things, man. Like, I'm an all right fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can go against an average guy. You know what I mean? The guys at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio, be like, he's all right, man, when he's strong. But I'm a really good little brother. Big brother. I'm a really good big brother. And I think that's part of the empathy thing. But once you mix it with personal training, which I just happen to have a knack for, man, I happen to be able to see things and put it together, then it works for a good trainer. And that's why a lot of I train plenty of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, but I train a lot of people that are your age or younger. And I call you guys, and I don't say it, but I like, when I'm talking to somebody else, I was like, yeah, one of my kids is going to Costa Rica today. They're like, you got kids? I was like, no, I don't have it. Oh, one of my training kids. You know what I mean? And like that kind of thing. So It's cool. It works. And I dig it, man, but I get something out of it too. And not just the loot, man. Like, I just get something out of it, man. When I see you bench what you're benching, I was like, it's just nice to see, and it's nice to help somebody be proud of their accomplishments and guide them through that with personal training. It really is.
Well, that's why I think you're able to have the success that you do in a game that's, that's at the end of the day, you can only take on as many clients as you can. There's a limit to it at the end of the day, but you've figured out how to turn it into this, great career, especially now that you're basically doing it independent, right? And, because you're able to have that authentic relationship, it makes it so much better. And it's not just with what you do, but I think that's a good point for anyone listening for anything that they're doing, is that if you just genuinely love what you're doing and you have some authentic, feeling about it, the work is going to be 10 times better. You're going to have more success. It's going to be easier to do it because you're living it, It's not a job that you're trying to just show up to and, bullshit your way through.
So this is like Dale Carnegie shit, man. And I read that book, maybe when I was like 19, and then I read it again. And then, once podcasts came out and audiobooks came out, I used to fall asleep listening to that book. And It's Dale Carnegie, man. It's got a shady title for the times now, but it made sense back then, which was how to win friends and influence people. Right? And it's like, man, who wants to do that? But if you read it, that's his gig, man. He's like, no, you want to be authentic, man. You want to care about people. If you care about people, and if I'm saying, yo, how's your day going, man? I want to know how your day is going, man. I'm not just trying to insert conversation here. And if you're like, yo, that's no good, man, let me tell you what happened. And then I'm going to listen, man. But if you're like, yo, it's hype, dog, here's what came out, then I'm going to listen, man. And it's good to listen. And I think that maybe is part of that weird memory thing that I have, where we can talk about a conversation that we had 11 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, dog, you know what I mean? You were wearing a blue shirt that day. You know what I mean? And remember, I fell off your motorized skateboard. Do you remember that shit, dude? You had me get on your motorized skateboard.
I have a horrible memory, so I don't know why I host a podcast, because I can't really recall anything. But
you brought this the skateboards that were the hoverboards, whatever.
Yeah.
Came out, they were long, and then like you'd lean forward to go forward, you lean back to go back. I can't do ice sports. I can't roller skate. I can't rollerblade. I can't skateboard. I can't. I just can't, man. You're like, yo, get on it, dog. Get on it. And I knew you might be punking me. Like, you know what I mean? To hit that iPhone out, man. And so I was like, oh, man, I can't do this, man. I can't do this. And then when we went to the parking lot, you left the iPhone alone. I was like, cool, man. And then I'm like, oh, like going like,
whoa.
Yeah, exactly. But then remember we got Mr. Shoulders on that shit, man? And Mr. Shoulders was going down the track just like straight on. And he was like, I'm doing it. And Mr. Shoulders is this humongous Ukrainian guy that I worked with for like 11, 12
Huge
years.
dude.
Huge dude, Mr. Shoulders. And now he does strongman competitions. But anyway, my point is you can.
He probably broke that fucking thing.
I don't, right? You know what I mean? Well, he's D's now, man. Like he's doing all sorts of strongman competitions, like COVID or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Dude's lifted heavy shit, man. So it's good for him. But again, my point is, man, I got this weird memory, man, and it really comes into play when you train 1 million people. It really does.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, it's it's like being a therapist in a way, having to remember all these different life stories and things that are going on in people's lives, and connecting those dots and remembering like each week what's going on with this person, and then you got another person. I don't know how. I couldn't keep track of all that.
Something just pops up, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like like when I see you, man, or when I see, the person after you, man, like, I know what's going on with her, man. I know, her ex-man, and I know what's going on with the new man, and that kind of thing, dude. Like, and it's just because the person's in front of me. It's not like all day I'm like, what's going on with her, man? You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. I'm just there, so it pops up. And so, and so I can remember, but it's amazing, man, because also like on this tip, man, it's just like, seeing dudes grow up is amazing. Seeing young ladies become women is amazing. Like a lot of my clients, man, and this is what happened with COVID, man. All these people that no longer could train with me during the normal days because they couldn't make it to the gym are now doing it, man. You're in LA, man. I'm in Boston. It's amazing, dude. Like,
you can cast the net way wider now. Your whole network is back open.
It's incredible. So all these people that I had relationships with that might kind of fuzz out or fade out, you know what I mean? Or like, hey, man, I sent them a text on their birthday, man. They sent me one on my birthday. It's straight. All these people are now back, man. Like yesterday, dude, I think I might have mentioned this to you. Yesterday, I was in Costa Rica in the morning, and then I was in Naples, Florida, and then I was in Palm Desert in California, and then I was also in Blacksburg, Virginia at Virginia Tech, and I was also in Boston. I was on the Cape, and then it's just like you get her at Portland, Oregon, Boulder, Colorado. This is all yesterday, bro. Like, and so and again, man, this is me being empathetic, man. Or this is me being emotional or whatever. But like, that really means a lot to me, man. That people want to hang out with me.
It's cool.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Freaking pay my bills, dog. Like, you know what I mean? It's amazing.
You're hitting all these corners of the world, and you're, making a positive influence on people's life. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what people in your line of business are doing. You're making people, you're helping people become the best versions of themselves. And the trainer is the accountability to, actually go and do that thing that you want to do. I want to better my life. I'm trying to hit the gym, but on my own, I might not do it as much as I should. When I have that accountability and we build that relationship, that all of a sudden I'm there, And so then I have this incredibly positive experience with you because I'm turning into a better version of myself through the work that you and I are doing. And so it's a cool relationship to have with another person, because not every relationship that you have with people is this one that actually creates more positive behavior.
And I don't know.
And this is kind of the
I
extreme of
agree
that.
with you, man. And I don't know if it's just like a Northeast, man. I told you about that book that I read, the 11 Nations one, where it kind of like breaks down, our North America into like these different sections, man. So I don't know if it's just like a Yankeedom thing, that really helped, because people people in this area, maybe over 50%, I don't know the numbers, man, are used to taking direction. And I don't mean from a boss, but I mean from like a professor or from an expert. And so what ends up happening, man, in this coolest way is they're like, tell me what to do. And they're not fighting back. They're not pushing back. They're just like, okay. And you think that you're really surprised by the impact that you have on people's lives, because what happens is there'll be like, okay, let's say we have a lady and maybe she wants to lose a couple pounds, and she does lose a couple pounds, and it's great. And then she takes some time off for whatever reason, and she comes back 4 months later and she's put those pounds on a little bit more. And I say to myself, but we're only working out 1 hour a week. How did that happen? And I can't ask her because I don't want to be a jerk, and bring up her weight, but she's obviously coming back with the same goal that she started with, or a gentleman. I had this one guy that I was doing in-homes with, and then COVID hit, and because of the diabetes and my new wife, I had to take a break on this. And he was living a little bit more of a lifestyle that was more COVID taking chances. Right. And then my brother moved out here. I told you all about that. He's got a baby, man. I just can't bring that over to his house. And so I told this guy, man, I got to chill, man. And he's my friend. I like this guy. I still text him. I offered virtuals. He wasn't down. He gained some weight, and that's fine that he gained some weight, but now his feet hurt and he's got plantar fasciitis. And it's like, oh man, give me the vaccine. Let me get back to your house, bro. Right. Let me get this going, man. I'll make time for that. And it's just like, how did 1 hour a week keep off 20 pounds? And it's that accountability aspect that you're talking about.
Well, because it's what are they doing in those, other hours when they're not seeing you? When they have to see you next week, they're making better choices, because they don't want to hear you chirp them out like, why didn't you do that? I told you to have this diet. I told you to, hit this workout on the off day.
That's exactly it. And he was like, yo, last time I bench pressed, and like, that's a big thing for him, man. He's a finance guy. He was like, last time I bench pressed was in October, last time we trained. And I remember cases at that time were like 1,100 a day or 800 a day or something like that. And I was like, and I had a limit, man. I think it was like 1,100. I was like, yeah, I'm going to bounce, because Massachusetts is not that large. And,
right.
And maybe he's going out for drinks every, Saturday or Thursday or whatever. And so it happened. That was the last time he benched. Now, Cam, I brought over gym equipment. I floored his gym, put some dumbbells down there. He ended up getting a bench and an elliptical. He should have been there without me, but now I'm the asshole. And I'm not just saying that, like, I feel like an asshole if he's gained weight and now he has plantar fasciitis. I feel like that jerk, because, man, I should have hung in there, man, and maybe gotten COVID, but, and I was wearing a mask when I was over there during this. Like, it wasn't like, a free for all or anything like that, but still I was worried, dude. I mean, it's a pandemic, dude. I'm not trying to give my nephew sick, man. He's a baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta be cool.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was my point is that you're 100% correct. You do motivate people on the hours that you're not there, and they might have a few less chicken wings or a few less French fries or a few less, whatever, vodka tonics, like when you're not watching them, because they know they got to see you the next week.
Yeah. So I think this is a super key point, that like in your life, it's important to spend a little bit of money building like your team around you, and like I consider you like you're on my team, and I have like a kind of like mindfulness like therapist that I talk to, right? And I pay her, and she's on my team, and I've got people that I work with in my business, and they're on my team. But it's like, you are only as good as the team you build around you, and spending a little bit of money to have, you know, that trainer and have this person and have resources like that is so valuable and actually creates, you know, more wealth for yourself and opportunity and success than anything else. And I just, you know, I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, like I'm getting value off of this 30 minutes or hour a week that we're doing in every hour of the day because it's changing the way that I'm thinking. And you're only as good as that team that you build around you, you know? And so if you neglect that stuff and you try and just kind of go at it your own way and not, you know, engage with people and use those resources that you could use, you're just not kind of optimizing.
You're 100% correct, dude. I mean, that's it. Most people don't learn this until they're about 35 or 40, which is, and when they get a divorce or something like that. But you do need support. You know, what's that phrase? No man is an island, and it's true. You can't do it on your own. Now, I'm not talking about fitness. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about
life.
I'm talking about therapy.
Life.
I'm talking about, like, you know what I mean? Friendships. And some people are loners, and that's great, man. And some people want to do it themselves. That's great. But as soon as you reach out, and this is what's so good about the fact that people are on Zoom and it's going well, that people can do it, is that it brings more people into people's lives. I'm training a lot more people than I was at the gym. And the reason why is partly because I do a lot of half hours and I'm still working 6 days a week, and I have been for the last 16 years. That's my gig. You know, that's what I do. I'm a worker bee. But also, man, if you can, the more people I see and more different people, the more fulfilled I feel. And that goes also with me calling my therapist, you know, and talking to him over the phone, you know what I mean? And he doesn't do video calls, which I don't blame him for, you know what I mean? But because it's just going to be like this, it's going to be like the same thing, man, where people are just watching each other, you know what I mean? You can't like even like have a sip of coffee, you know? But that having been said, it's people need people in their lives, even if they're introverts or even if they think they're loners, man. Just getting that extra brain, like, to ask people about this. It's like when I started this website, man, like when I was like, yo, Cam, if you think of something, let me know. Now, why am I asking Cam? Well, Cam, you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? You're a businessman, so it helps. But Cam's not the only guy I asked about this. You know, I asked plenty of my clients. I asked my clients that have sold businesses, clients that have, that have worked in finance, clients that have worked, and they all have great ideas. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's like, the first thing that you have to do is not, when somebody starts giving you idea, is not tune out.
Right.
You're asking for advice for a reason. You're asking for help for a reason. You're asking for them to give you words for a reason. So you can't come up with why they might be wrong. You need to come up with why they might be right, why they might have a great point, even if you don't understand the point.
Yeah. You know, it's just key to kind of also engage your own brain in that way too, you know, especially right now with COVID shit, like the way that we've just been so cooped up, having that thing to do every week with a new, you know, person and a new perspective is huge right now.
Something in the mail, man. And for me, like with these people, and, you know, it's real touching that people all of a sudden, like, people have this, you know, their half hour, the 45 minutes, their hour with me booked, and they don't want to miss it. And so they'll be, and not everybody's like, you know, like treating this like a lockdown, man. Some people are still going out to restaurants and stuff like that. Some people are having a good time. But the reality of the situation is that people book this time for me. And I know that doesn't seem like a big thing, but to me, being like a super like emotional, sympathetic guy, like, that's a big thing, dog. That's a big thing for me, for to have like 17 people in a day that are like, yo, 10:30, I got Albert. No, I got to be home. I got Albert. You know what I mean? 2:30, I just got home from school. Albert, what's up? You know what I mean? Like racing home from school. You know what I mean? You know, not going to do whatever errands they're going to do that day in order just to hang out with me on FaceTime, man, and get their lift in, man. It's perfect. It's like, it's very flattering. It really is.
Yeah. It's cool that you're able to actually kind of be closer to everybody through this digital shit as opposed to the in-person physical gym stuff. And that's probably going to change the game forever because then, you know, like,
you're right.
At the end of the day, I feel more like I've just got you kind of on the phone like any other friend or whatever, then it's like a client trainer relationship. Because when it's in the gym, it's like, all right, I'm going to the gym, you know, this is my trainer, I'm here, we're doing this. But now that it's all digital, it's like we're FaceTiming, I'm texting you more, like we're just kind of like, it's like shit like that. It just turns into just more. I'm sending you
those things on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It just turns into more of a full kind of friendship on a whole nother level.
And that's what it is. It's a relationship, but it's a proper relationship. And some fools might be like, yeah, he can't do that with everyone. I do it with everyone. I do it with everyone. Like I just, like, if you're gonna text me, dog, I'm not gonna be like, no. Obviously, if I'm training, dude, and and since we started doing the Zoom, man, I've had like 6 text messages pull up right there with that I can't look at, man.
Yeah, you're a busy dude.
Or my brain's gonna go somewhere else, man. I'm gonna. What'd you say, Cam? You know what I mean? So you can't do that while you're training. But as soon as I get a break, I got my phone out, and the reason is because it's my business. But also, how am I gonna not answer a text when a 66-year-old lady is sending me video of her grandchild walking for the first time?
Right.
Like, how am I not gonna do that, dude? How am I gonna be like, word? Like, I can't do that, dog. How am I just going to heart that shit? I need to heart that shit, and I need to say, yeah, that was amazing, man, and mention something about what's going on in the video. And have it be, to your point, authentic. Have it be genuine, because I got a nephew that I adore, man. I'm going to show you real quick, dog, just because I really dig this dude. I got a nephew right here that I just adore, man. This redhead.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's great, man. But here's the deal with him, man. Yo, like, his first steps, I was like, this is genius. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, we all walk, man. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, just so proud and so happy, man. So if I was, like, my mom's seen him walk on FaceTime, and that's a good thing. They're obviously in Texas, so they haven't traveled since the pandemic. So we haven't seen them in face for me. I haven't seen her in face or my dad face to face for over a year. But Mikey, when he was driving from California, they made a pit stop and did some socially distanced, mask only, whatever. But what I'm saying is, like, everybody needs that interaction. And if you send me a text, I'm going to hit you back. It might not be for an hour, but I'm going to hit you back. I really am. Especially because you want to keep that flow going, man, just in case somebody needs to cancel or reschedule, so you can reassert your schedule and get it back on Tetris, that thing, you know what I mean? And get it back on point. I mean, it works. It really, really does.
Well, and you're holding all these different types of relationships with people too, because it's not just, people your age that you're training that have similar interests. You've got older people, you've got younger people, you train kids. You've got to talk to certain people different ways, and balancing that is, its own skill within itself. And, one of the keys to success for something that you do, and that's, again, like, that's what's so fascinating to me about, the shit that you do is, like, you've really taken this full approach to the whole entire business. And that's why I think you do so well with it. I think you're one of the top trainers in the game when it comes to, personal trainers and, personal clients. Like, I don't think you can get much, much higher than the level that you're at. And it's because you are looking at it from all angles. It's not just, what am I doing in this 30 minutes that I'm in this session with this client? It's way more than that. You're on 24/7.
It's before, during, and after. I mean, you got to write the program, and then they train, and then, you know what I mean, after the program, if they have any questions or anything like that, or if they want to, and again, Kim, this is just like, if they want to share something, like, look, I'm eating celery. You don't want to be like, whatever's. Like, you want to be like, yo,
right,
good moves, man. I'm digging it, man. Is that peanut butter on the celery? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want those, like, you want to do that, man. How am I going to be responsible, you know what I mean, for somebody's fitness, or at least be paid for it, and not give them a high five, man, for them being like, yo, man, I'm just going to have a salad. I'm taking the night off from meat, and I'm going to skip dairy tonight, and that's what their body needs. So I'm going to be like, wow, nice work, man. Kudos, man. Heart that shit, and be like, hey, you did a nice work, man. They're sending it to me to share, but they also need some affirmation, man. And I'm Captain Affirmation when it comes to that stuff. Like, I need to be, dude. I can't not be. When you go for a run, man, and you send me like, yo, I just ran. I'm not gonna be like, we should all run, dog.
You're like, word, bro. I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, exactly, dog. Yo,
I'm off the clock.
Yo, dog, don't forget to Venmo me. I'm not going to do that, man. Like I need to be engaged, man. And like when you do, man, you send me the route. I'm like, oh, zoom in on it. You know what I mean? But I just can't help it. I'm not the other guy. So for whatever, any trainer that might be listening that's been in the game for only a year or whatever, don't force the relationship, but get to know your people. And you get to know your people by asking questions. And that's some other Dale Carnegie stuff, which is people love to talk about themselves, man. I do, you do, we do, you know what I mean? And this is why you're so good, Cam, because the first thing you do is you start asking me questions about my day. You know, and like, yo, dog, you're paying for this, man. Like, what about your day, dog? You know, but
right. That's what I do with my therapist too. I'm like, oh, what's up with you? You know,
Jericho, bro.
I don't want to talk about my shit right away.
Yeah, exactly, man. I'll tell you what's up, but you know, we got 20 minutes for that instead of 30. I hope that's cool. You know, which is sweet, but and that goes for like. I train a couple of 10-year-olds, man, two different dudes, man, that don't even know each other. I wish they did. And one is, you seen one on my Instagram, and Josh is just wild. This dude's wild. He's amazing, man. Just started jiu-jitsu, like all sorts of stuff, man. He's ready to go. And this dude, like, you know, he's like, you're going to be on Cam's podcast? All right, we need to get you some headphones, a microphone. And I'm like, and he was like, hey, call me back on your phone. I want to see what your office looks like. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like picking shit up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, here you go. And he's like, hey man, you need to clean up the back of your desk. And I'm like, you're right, dog, but you got some clothes on the bed right there. And he's like, just changes the camera real quick. You know what I mean?
He's like, what are you talking about?
Man. And the other one is Seth, man. Seth is like, oh man, this dude's gonna rule the world one day, man. He's so cool, man. 10-year-old man. And he's a great dude, man. I love this guy. And he's like, what's going on with your day today? And I'm like, nothing, man. Get on that rower, man. Let's see what we got. All right, cool. And then he'll be like, actually, things are a little weird today. It's cool, man. You know, and so like, just, you know, I love that stuff, man. I love talking to kids, man, if they're 10 or if they're 15, or I got some seniors, dude, and I got some juniors, man, that I'm talking to. But also that progresses into college. So all these college kids I've been training them since they were in 7th grade. And I got pictures of that, Cam. And you know how I used to always get out my phone and take pictures or take photos or take video or whatever?
Yeah, you must have hundreds of thousands of like pictures and shit, because you be sending me pictures of when I was in high school. And,
that's it, dog. And you're mature enough to be cool with that, man. But if you send a picture of a kid when he was 10 to a 15-year-old, they'll be embarrassed, or some of them will be. If you send that to their mom, you know, you're talking to them, man. They're like, oh, here's a photo. It's just like, you know, some history about me, man. My mom passed away when I was 11. I call my stepmom my mom, but my mom did when I was 11. And when they find photos of my mom and they take a picture of it and they text it to me, I'm talking about my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, whatever, down in the South Texas, Rio Grande Valley. When they send those to me, Cam, it's treasure.
Mm-hmm.
It's treasure. There's only a certain amount of photos that were ever taken of my mom. And if I get to see a new one, bro, like it's treasure. So if I get to send a mom that's alive a picture of her kid when they're 10 and the kid's now 26, you know what I mean? That's hype, man. That's cool, man. And I'm not doing it for marketing reasons. I'm doing it because I'm going through my old camera roll. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, so it's nice and chill, bro. It works out. It works out.
Well, there's a lot of happiness in just enjoying the journey of all of this, you know, and just enjoying that all of these things are just moments in time. You're capturing these moments in time. You're remembering these moments in time because you have such a great memory. And, you know, you seem like a super happy dude in that sense, because I think you're getting a lot of fulfillment all the time with your clients, with all the, you know, these people that you're friends with and everything else. And, you know, you've got all these images and memories to call on that remind you of kind of the journey you've been on and the journey you're on right now and the one you're on the way to. And that's, you know, that's really the biggest determiner of whether or not kind of we're feeling good on a day to day. You know, it's not about like counting your chips or whatever. That's the basics that you need to have covered, but it's more than that when it comes to fulfillment and happiness.
The impression that you leave with people is be it good or bad, man. And that's, you know, that's one of the rules, man. Always be nice, man. Always be nice. Always be nice. Even if the situation doesn't call for nice, it'll take the situation down some degrees. If you're nice, always be nice and always look at it from their point of view. But to your point, man, to to have this, to be with them and to shift a kid from unconfident to confident. That's that. I need to pay my bills, man. I won't do it for free, but that's as fulfilling as anything else, as the loot that I'm making, man, for that hour, man. It really is, man. Like helping a kid get on their way and realize like maybe their potential with like working out, maybe their potential with being confident, because you can see like the rattiest people in the world, man, be confident, man. And you can see the best people in the world, man, be unconfident. And to just be part of that wind that blows them towards confidence is a really chill thing to do, man. It really is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I totally agree about that thing about pictures too. Now that my dad passed away 6 months ago. And so our family, we have this big family Facebook group we have this huge extended family. He had 4 siblings, 4 sisters, and they're all older and all have kids, and so there's just so many people in our family. So there's pictures and photo books everywhere, and so we'll get these little gems here and there that none of us have seen. And my dad's got this crazy history. He was in politics in Alaska back when Alaska was just the wild west, and just so many cool memories and things. It's like this dude lived a full life, and you see these pictures, and you're like, this is just crazy. I've never seen this before.
They fill in the gaps, Cam, and I'm sorry your pop's died, man. I really am. When you find these pictures as you get older, they're going to be more and more valuable, man. It's like a 1901 coin. You know what I mean? 1902, like okay, that's all right, but like, so you just give it some time, dog. You know what I mean? These pictures will be more and more, and it's more and more wonder, where you're like, what was this dude doing, man? Like, you know what I mean? This is crazy, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, here's a picture of him with a tomahawk, like that kind of thing, where you're like, oh my God, like this is incredible, because everybody's life is very rich. It really is. You know what I mean? It's got so much stuff going on, man. And then you leave markers, man. Like you're a marker of him, dog. Like he's, you know what I mean? You guys are bonded, you know what I mean? For forever, for eternity. And so when you find more about him, you're almost finding more about you, and you're almost finding more about just where you came from. And it's part of your origin story, Cam. It is where he came from, just like where his dad came from is part of his origin story and part of your origin story a little bit, bro. So it's interesting to see, man. And man, I'm not trying to quote anybody, man, but don't like you'll be at a place one day, man, because you're old enough now, and it happened when you're old enough, man, where it'll be nice to, you'll just remember him. You'll think about him, man. You might even talk to him, man, which is chill, and it'll be really happy for you. So so it's terrible that it happened, dog. And I'm sorry that it happened suddenly. But you're gonna remember more and more, and it's gonna be good. And then pretty soon the shit memories go away. And because you're sound, and you only have the pure and the good, which is great, man. I don't remember too many bad things about my mom anymore. Now it's been years and years since I had a conversation with her, or since I held her hand or anything like that. But to that end, dude, I can only remember good things about her now.
Yeah. Do you think that going through that at the younger age that you were, did that come into play in terms of the way that your personality turned out, and how you even approach your work and your life and everything, and the way that you're, kind of always on and everything like that, and building these relationships with people, you really understand the fragility of life in that way?
I do, but I understand the fragility of children. And that's again, that's that empathy thing, and maybe that's part of it, dude. Maybe that's part of it. But I because if I look at these kids, man, that I'm training, like Seth and Josh, man, and they're awesome. They're so cool, man. I would rather, dude, stick a thorn in my eye, dude, than make them feel crummy.
Right.
I really would, dude. I really would, man. That's like, they're kids, man. You know what I mean? They're good people, man. They're chill people. They're cool. Josh, Seth, I like you, man. You guys are the bomb, dude. Like, I really dig you guys. Like, so what I'm saying is, yes, it did. And with the fragility of life, man, I think what happened with my mom died in a car accident. We were in a car accident together. She died holding my hand. That I think that that helped me become a better brother because I understood. I mean, and Mikey's got a son now. I mean, Rafi is, you know what I mean? Rafi's a grown man, but they're, to me, I remember when they're kids. You know, I remember when they're just kids. And so you're not going to mess with a kid, man. You know what I mean? Nobody, I mean, just all you can do is pump them up and lift them up and make sure they're doing the right thing. And so I remember Mikey's first day of school. I remember coming home to Rafi, like, you know what I mean? And Rafi had only heard these. Remember, I was 18. I left my house, man. I went to Boulder, you know, and didn't come back until I was 26. And so Rafi, although was a baby, and of course, like, you know, he would see me in Christmas and stuff like that and holidays. But by the time I got back to him, according to Mike, I was a legend. And so I think teachers would ask him questions, man, in third grade, man. It would be like, my brother Albie. Like that was the answer to every question.
Right.
And
well, the mystery when you're out of the mix for a little bit, the mystery builds up, you know.
That's it, man. And the responsibility of having a child like that in your life is, you know, as your little brother, as your son, as your kid, you know what I mean, as your nephew. You know, you're there to, I don't know about as a father, I can't speak for that. I'm not a father, but you're there to gas them up, man. And you're there to make sure that they feel great, man. You're there to, you know what I mean? If they're feeling, this dude used to come home, man. And I only lived at my parents' house for like 6 months, man, when I left Boulder, and he used to come home and just want to watch a Yu-Gi-Oh. And then I got him into crossword puzzles. And then like, this is all pure stuff. It's not like, yo, Dad, let's go smoke a cigarette. You know, it's chill stuff. And so it's like you have some responsibility, and that's why you're the youngest, right, Ken?
Yep.
Okay, and that's why, you know, any of that trickle down responsibility from any of your older brothers, like I know, you know what I mean, that formed you, you know what I mean, or it helped form you and it influenced you.
100%.
And
yeah,
and that's awesome, you know what I mean, and that's why family is it, man. Family's great. Family is just amazing, and being a sibling that's, you know, that has two younger siblings below him, like you need to be the man. You need to walk the walk and talk the talk, man. What I'm not gonna do, but when a third grader is looking at me, is cuss out my dad or be disrespectful to my mom or be bitter or not say thank you or not hold the door for a lady. I mean, these are all things that like you should just do, but especially if somebody's watching you, man. I mean, that's part of this. I guess that's part of this whole personal training thing too with kids, man. Like, you know what I mean? Be somebody they want to be. Don't be somebody that's just like collecting a check, man, going, all right, cool, man, let's do some push-ups, man. Like, if they want to talk, man, let them talk. And sometimes them talking for 15 minutes of an hour session is a lot better for them than them doing 15 minutes of straight running.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And not bonding that credit or forming that relationship.
Yeah. Well, I know from personal experience too, that's what it was for me, was looking at this guy who's leading by example in the gym, but it, you know, in life too, you know, the whole thing, when you have that relationship with a trainer or a coach, you know, it's very impactful to a young kid, you know. So I know that you're making that impact on a crazy level to everybody that you train, but particularly young people, because there's so much of that influences them at that age, and, you know, helps you build discipline and all the stuff that, you know, training is about. It's a mental thing and a physical thing, and it's just emotional. Yeah, you know,
it is because you want to make them feel good, and you know, like that kind of thing.
For me, being the youngest of 5 siblings, when you were saying earlier, like, oh, you know, you were just kind of straightforward. Even when you were younger, you were just kind of cool. You could talk shit, like whatever. You could just kind of hang out. That was, I think, because I had exposure to all this stuff from my siblings growing up. And so I saw so much more than kids that were 12 years old, my age at the time. You know, I was kind of already on another level mentally because I was just absorbing all this stuff around my siblings. And I thought that was incredibly valuable for me.
So think about all your siblings and then all their cool friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so think about like how, as that age you were when you came in, man, 8th or 9th grade, man, how cool Murph was.
Right.
Like Chris Murphy. Like, you know what I mean? Like that dude, and he's still a cool guy, man. Yeah. He's a dad now. Like he's the man, you know, but how much like he was the guy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Big, strong, you know, handsome dude, man, you know, quiet, doing his own thing. You know what I mean? But it was just like, and he's the one. I don't know if it was your brother or him that was just like, yo, you know, you got to get with this guy, like, you know, yeah, which was you, young guy, you know, Cam. But it's like that kind of influence is impactful and goes a long way. You're gonna remember that guy, man, until you're like, you know what I mean, 80, dude.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Just think about that impact. Like, I mean, it's amazing, man. So it's the same thing, man. If you treat a kid like trash, or you're not cool with them, or you're impatient with them, or anything like that, and you're that trainer in their life, man, it's like you can make a big impact, and you can make it real quick.
Yeah, that's so true. And when you're at that age, dude, you're looking up to people like that. Like if you're a younger kid and you got older brothers, and you know, and their friends are all in the mix, and they're all college age or whatever, like you're trying to be as cool as that because you're 14 and you're like, you know, I'm on that level. Like I want to be like that, you know. And so Murph was this dude who was this big jacked dude, lacrosse player, you know, just kind of cool dude all around. And he was working out with you, and you guys were, you know, going crazy on the fitness shit. And so Murph used to, you know, fuck around with me because they all used to hang out at my house because my parents got divorced, and my dad started dating this new woman who became his wife and my stepmom. And they were in their honeymoon phase. They were like taking trips, you know, doing whatever. He was going down to Cape Cod where she lived, and just, you know, kind of just, he was tuned out for a minute, which was cool because I was like freshman in high school. So I was like bet, like this is great. And
open house,
you know, so exactly, you know, the whole dynamic was kind of just like, all right, well, all the siblings can kind of like do whatever they want. And so there was a lot of action going on at my house growing up all the time, you know, friends coming over, no people watching over shit. So, you know, shit was just cool. And so Murph was always in the mix, and I was just like, you know, this dude's the man. And, you know, he would play catch with me outside. I'd try to be like, you know, being cool with him, whatever. And then he introduced me to you and my brother too, because I think my brother was training with you guys a little bit there for a minute. And I was like, yeah, this is dope. Let's do this.
It works, bro. But like to your point, man, the influence, you don't even understand the influence you can have on a kid, man. And I remember this one thing that I regret, man. And it was, I think some kid was introduced me to his boy, man. And his boy had just just got in there, man, scratching his groin. And it sounds terrible. And I was like, hey, you know, and gives me his hand. And I was like, dog. And there was no Corona elbow back then. I was like, dog, I can't. I was like, I gotta give you one of these, dog. And he was like, and I was like, dog, you're just scratching your groin. You know what I mean? And I said that, and it was,
you said that to him,
dude. And like, bro, that still haunts me. Do you know what I mean? Like this dude, I had to give him one of these instead of this.
Yeah, you made the right choice.
Of course, I made the right choice. Like, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? I should have been like, yo, I got a cold. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Or something better than making a dude feel bad that he just scratched his, like, I mean, he got in there, bro. He got in there. And yeah, and anyway, but I feel terrible though. I feel terrible about that. Like I still remember shit like that, dude. Like, and this is like, I don't even know that's crazy. Name. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know the boy's name, but like, you know, he was like, oh, this is Albert. I was just like the gym guy, you know what I mean? But like I feel bad that I made that dude feel like crap. Like, you know what I mean? Or I might have. Like maybe he just brushed it off. Who knows? Maybe that kid doesn't even remember it. But I do. You know, it's terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
We remember the shit that we, even if it's just like the tiniest little thing, like we remember if we do something that we think was like, oh, that was kind of fucked up of me. Like I shouldn't have done that. And you remember it forever, dude. And you're so hard on yourself about it. You know, you got to remember it's all good. Like just, you know, if you're going through a situation like that, you got to tell yourself like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like this person probably doesn't remember that shit.
Well, I would hope, man. But again, dude, you know what I mean? When you're just
maybe he does,
spraying out memories to people, like, you know what I mean? What if he does? Damn it, Cam, what if he does? Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe he listens to this podcast.
Dude has never touched his groin again. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's listening to the exactly.
That's probably a good thing, though. You know?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not, bro. But either way, man, I'm the asshole. Like, you know, I'm definitely the asshole. And so you don't, like I said, you impact on kids even if you just, it's a drive-by impact. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So you said something interesting earlier, and I wanted to circle back on it. So what's this book about the different regions of the country and the way that people act differently based off of where they're from? Tell me about that a
It's
little bit.
it's amazing, dog, and I don't want to misquote it, man. It's called 11 Nations of North America, I believe. And I listened to it on tape. I say I read it. I didn't read it. I listened to it on tape. My sister-in-law read it, and I think my brother read it. And it just like takes these different regions of America, and it goes back historically where these regions were. So, for example, I went through I think the Virginia region was called Tidewater. And another one of my clients, I've been read it. The Virginia region was called Tidewater. And they came over at the same time the Pilgrims basically did in Yankeedom. That's what this region is called up here. And the regions aren't exactly what you think. It's not just like Northeast, man. Yankeedom reaches across like the beginning of like New York, the northern part of New York, and then into like
the Erie,
like yeah, exactly. But even past the Great Lakes, I think. And it's weird because and then it breaks it down for you. They're like talk about like New York and New Amsterdam, I think is what they called it, and New York City. And they talk about how there's a divided line in Connecticut where there's Yankees fans and there's Red Sox fans, both in Connecticut, you know what I mean? But there's like a literal line where if you go over, if you got a friend on the other side of town or on the other side of Connecticut, whatever, it's not a big state, that your boy is like, rocking a Yankees hat. And he's like, what's up, dude? You know what I mean? And you're rocking a Red Sox hat and you're like, what's up, dude? So it's interesting, but it hit home so hard for the Yankeedom region. And there's this region, like I told you before, man, down in the Rio Grande Valley, man. It's where, and this goes up the side of, it's northern Mexico and southern Texas into that part of the U.S. where I think it's part of like southern Arizona and maybe southern New Mexico. And it's called El Norte, the north. And why is it called the north? Well, because in Mexico, it's the north. And that region has a lot of similarities. Where my dad was born, my mom was born, all my cousins live, and that region has so many similarities with Yankeedom, not for any good reason. It's just like, so, one of them is like, this shit that I do, which is like 6 days a week, man. 6 days a week, 16 years, man. That's how I roll, dude. Why? Because it's more loot, and if you're working 6 days and you're not spending money on one of those days, right? So cool. Right. And so, that's whatever. It's just good for the savings account. My point being, you go to that area and even in northern Mexico or like I said, southern Texas, that's what they're all about too. Just like Yankees.
Where's that coming from?
Where's this?
Like, is that from way back in the day when, they were agriculture stuff? They just needed to get the job done.
So it goes into like one of the things with Yankeedom, man, it's going to hit home for you, which is like education is very important. All right, cool. Learning things, being open and accepting to experts telling you things. Okay, that makes sense, right? But also, and this is the one that you're going to be like, oh, which is wasting time is the worst thing you can do. And it's so right, man. That's why the people in Massachusetts, when they forget their car keys, when they walk out the door, they're like, ugh, and go back in the door and grab their car keys because obviously you weren't being efficient enough, that kind of thing. And it's so interesting. It really is. Cause I'm like, oh my God, when it gets into New York City, oh my God, I don't want to misquote it, but I mean, it's so true about freedom of religion during when people were first coming over to America. It was the only place that accepted people of the Jewish religion. Like, I mean, amazing. I mean, only city, it was amazing. That openly was cool. Amazing. Just amazing. I'd recommend that to anybody that's a little bit into history and a lot into culture. Like, definitely, man. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, because we think about it in this sense of right now, like, oh, the East Coast is like this, the West Coast is like this, but those cultural things have been embedded in those geographic areas for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like, people who are in the Northeast still, and their families were in the Northeast and they've had generations in the Northeast, they're a particular way. But the people who have like lineage on the West Coast, at some point they came from the East Coast, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, that family line. And that type of person that went out West during those crazy times, it makes sense that, then all of a sudden the West Coast has like a different psyche than the East Coast because genetically, there was something different about those people who made the decision to go out West. They were more risk takers,
and then what they had to do
crazy.
To form a society out there that was completely that could be independent, but also got things done, is different than if you were somewhere else, like, you know, Tidewater. And I think that's Virginia. I hope nobody kills me about this, but I think that's Virginia, and different than Yankeedom, you know. And it talks about how Yankeedom came over, man, with, like, you know, the Pilgrims came over, but they came over with families.
Well, that's what's so interesting, man, about up there is like these people are so liberal in one sense because they're very educated in Boston and the Northeast and everything. Everyone's very educated, and so they have big ideas and they understand things, so they don't have wild points of view, right? And I think a lot of really, you know, kind of negative points of view just come from a lack of understanding. And so when you're like really educated or around a lot of educated people or around a lot of, you know, stuff like that, then your views are typically more open-minded and typically sway liberal, you know. And I think there's a little bit of an argument on the economic side. It can kind of go both ways, but when it comes to other things, you're just more like liberal in that sense. But
you might have a more of a willingness to learn,
right,
and to accept
that, like, we progress as society, so we should kind of think progressively, which is also kind of quote unquote liberal in a sense. And you know, and I don't mean it in the way of like politics right now, right? But what's funny about the Northeast is like they're like that, but then they're also super traditional too. They're like, well, let's have, you know, like a formal party, and, you know, and be, you know, real traditional with the way that we organize our house. And it's, you know, it's got this aesthetic that just feels very traditional. And like, we've got pictures of our family line and our grandparents and everything. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? But you don't see that out in Southern California. People are chilling, dude. They're like, let's hit the fucking beach. You know, they're liberal over here too. It's a different kind of liberal though.
It's a different kind of liberal. And what was it called? Was it called Left Coast or something? But it talked about that, you know, all the way into, you know, obviously Portland and you know, up to Seattle. But it was something like that. But, you know, obviously we were founded by Puritans, you know, the Massachusetts, the Northeast, you know, but Puritans with families. But I mean, bro, this blew my mind when I found out Massachusetts is per capita the most Catholic state in the Union.
Right.
Right. And you think it was like
fascinating. It's fascinating.
It's far out, dude. Like, what? You know what I mean? But then when you talk to the priest, man, like Father Leroy from the gym, man, you tell him something like, and he'd be like, ha, ha, ha. Like, dude's a liberal guy, man, even though he's a Catholic priest. You know what I mean?
Well, we consider religion to be hand in hand with like conservatism, but that's not necessarily the case. You know, it really depends on the region. You know, in the South, there is that correlation very heavily.
Right.
But in the Northeast, it's not like that. There's a lot of religious institutions, but there's also a lot of liberal thinking and, you know, very, like, you know, intelligent thinking going on there that changes people's viewpoints.
You're very right, dude. You're so right. And I just think, and this is my own thoughts, but I think with the scandal, you know, and I don't want to get into too many politics or anything, but the scandal with the Catholic Church that really messed with everything, really shook Texas in a way where people were like, man, I'm not for that, man, I got to get out. And then they became evangelical Christians. And those evangelical Christians are in a way more conservative. And I could be wrong, and I hope nobody kills me for this, but are more conservative than the old school Catholics are. You know, like, I mean, we got a pope that was like, you know, hey, who am I to judge? No, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, you know, but also the evangelicals have some amazing ways of life too. I mean, they do some incredible stuff. So it's just a different culture than, you know, maybe the Catholic culture, the old school culture or anything like that. Because remember, the Catholic Church has been around so long that they've had they had the, you know, I think it was the Great Schism that got them away from the Orthodox Church. And then they had the, you know, Vatican II, or what, I don't know, it was Council of Vatican or something like that, where all of a sudden, you know, nuns didn't have to have a dude's name and you could go like receive the, you know, the host and there was no gate and mass wasn't in Latin anymore. So they just have more time to, you know what I mean? To, I guess, liberalize or just go easy on the rules. But either way, man, you know what I mean? Either way, it's just interesting when you look at the part of the countries that and how they react to the same thing, because it is different, but also it's what makes America America. You know,
Right.
it's what makes this country good. You know what I mean?
Well, and I just think it's important to have these conversations, you know, like I feel like we are at a point now where we're so polarized that it's like, oh, if you want to start talking about politics, then it's like, oh, fuck, like you're either on this side or you're on this side, and that's that. And I'm not even trying to say that. I'm just saying, let's just take an objective look at where we're at in the world right now, where we're at in our country. And just, it's an interesting conversation that we should be able to have without people being like, fuck that,
Right.
you know, on either side, right? Because I'm just saying, what are the things, you know, that have created the foundation for these views and the way that people are? Because it's true, whether you want to admit it or not. You know, when I go around the country on tour, I talk to different people, and depending on their background, they've got different worldviews. You know, like I remember having this really good conversation with this kid I think we were in Nebraska, and he was a farmer, and his dad had a farm, and he was like, bro, I work 6 days a week in the tractor on my farm listening to your music, and that shit is tight. And then we started talking about politics, and he was just like, you know, he had this kind of very, you know, conservative viewpoint on the world, and that's not necessarily where I skew personally, but I was like, I get it, because your life is exactly that. You're doing what you're doing every single day, and you're thinking about what affects you.
That's how you roll.
Right?
You know what I mean? When you live in that section of the country, you know what I mean? Or when you live on that
And we can
farm,
come together,
you know?
Right. We can come together more if we just take a more realistic look at this shit and say, why do people think the way that they do? Right? Like if you're thinking crazy, then yeah, you got to cut that out. Right? But like if we're just looking at what has led people to think the way that they think now and have an open, honest conversation about that, then from there we can say, all right, well, let's come together a little bit more. Let's, you know, be open to discussion and try and move things forward and progress as a society, because progressing is not a liberal thing. Progressing is moving forward in life. You know, that's the meaning of progress.
That's
right?
exactly it.
And so
That's
you got to take progress out of the conversation. It's not about, you know, being progressive isn't about being liberal. It's about how can we all move forward. And, you know, so
but
this
also,
whole thing about different regions is crazy.
And it's just like in other cultures, man, and even inside of America, you have to learn other people's rules, man. Just a touch of them. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're in church, man, don't talk about sex. Like, you know what I mean? If you're in Wisconsin, man, don't talk about sex, dude. Like, you know what I mean? In general, but that's part of being
Right.
Wisconsin nice. You know what I mean? But also, if you're an Asian, don't show anybody the bottom of your foot. Don't sit with your leg cross-legged where they can see the bottom of your foot. They're just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to respect
you just
each
have
other's
to
cultures.
respect
Yeah.
the other cultures, even though we're like, it should be cool. This is all right. You know what I mean? But no, man, when you're on Mars and the Martians eat with their, you know, toenails, man, get your toenails out, man. Like, you know what I mean? If they're serving soup, get your toenails out, you know, because that's just, if you're, and I'm not saying you're on their turf, but if you're going to them, you can't be like, you know, this is how I do it back home, bro. So I think it's all right here. No, you can't be like that, dude. You have to understand, man, that this culture that they have isn't a 10-day-old culture. They're not just learning it, bro. These are the freaking rules, man. Like, so be cool with it, man. Like, be cool. And everybody on Sunday goes to church and you don't want to go to church. Cool, man. Cool. But don't just figure that, don't knock them for it. But also don't just figure that the bars are going to be open. You know what I mean? Like, it's just probably not going to happen, man. And I don't know if that's correct or not, but I mean, it's just like, you have to be open-minded. And I'm not talking about left or right. I'm talking about everybody has to be open-minded and not get so triggered so quickly when you don't understand the other culture. You know, like you just have to ask questions instead of assume everybody's like you. You know, I'm sure there's some parts of the country I couldn't go around like this, man, where I need to be going around like this. You know what I mean? Like cool, man. If I'm in that part of the country, like, I need to look at everybody else and just kind of go by the rules. And I want to be independent. That's great, man. But let me tell you something, dude. Like, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I got that empathy problem I told you about, man. So guess what? If I'm in a part of the country where I remember one time I was taking a jiu-jitsu lesson with this awesome dude, awesome guy. And I was doing it with my shirt off, right? And we're rolling down in the basement, man. This guy was amazing, man. Like, I mean, this guy was awesome. He was a great instructor, man. Had a wife and, like, you know, 20 kids or something. He had a lot of kids, man. Really cool guys. I go upstairs without my shirt on. I should have known better, man. I knew that was a Christian family. And she goes, and his wife goes, oh, there's a naked man in the house. And I'm just mortified that I'm just assuming that this is cool. And I'm in this guy's house with my shirt off. I was in his
Right.
basement in a jujitsu gym, with my shirt off, wrestling because my shirt was gonna get torn if I didn't have it on. And I'm just going upstairs for a glass of water or whatever I was doing, like Diesel. You know what I mean? Like walking around when his wife is home. Some people might be like, "So what, dude?" Me, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I need to be more cool on that." And then I can think back when I was a camp counselor, bro. And like I was just sitting around getting some sun, and if you stayed an extra week, man, you got an extra $400 or something like that, man. So I'm on a hill, man. Like, and it was like you did some lawn maintenance or something like that, man. And I'm there, man, had my shirt off, and a kid comes by and he goes, "Hey, if you wouldn't mind putting your shirt on." And I'm like 18 or 19, and I'm like, "What, dude?" And he was like, we just have a Christian camp. And I'm like, I'm around all these kids that are like, maybe 19, 20, like my age, like trying
Right.
to look hulky and get a tan. And I can't find a private place to do that. And it's a Christian camp. Come on, Albert. Like get with the program, man. Like understand you're not the only person on the planet. And this is before Instagram. This is before like TikTok. This is before all that shit. So understand, man, that there's a bunch of people that pray every day in front of you, and they might not want to see your nipples, bro. Like, come on. So anyway, we just need to be more tolerant of other people's cultures,
Absolutely, dude.
and not just assume that we're carrying the mantle for our culture into the enemy territory.
Right. We're
That's
all going to
not
get along better if we do a little bit of that. You're speaking facts, man. And we're
we're just not gonna.
we're not on that level right now. It's like it's my way or the highway, and it's like, well, just chill out a little bit, right? And I want to bring one last point in because I know you have a session coming up, so I know you got to get off. But you were saying jujitsu, and you were saying not disrespecting other people's cultures, and it just reminded me of Anthony Bourdain, who I feel like embodies like the perfect, just like the perfect person in that sense, where he was so accepting of other people's cultures and other people's ideas, whether it was different from his or not. And he said something that, and I'm going to misquote it, but I, always try and remember, which is like when you're at somebody's house or you're in another country, you're with another family, or you're with, people at a restaurant or whatever, and they bring you food. Food is so important to other people's cultures that you have to eat all of that food. Like you have to at least try every single thing that they're giving you. Like if I go to someone's house and they're, a different culture and they're an Asian family and they're bringing out, some sort of Asian cuisine, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't eat that. That is so disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think people think about that a lot. But I really took that in when he said that. And it's something that I always think about all the time. And it's just this conversation reminded me of it because it's, the food thing is important too. Like
They
try the food.
prepared that for you.
Yeah.
They're trying to give you entry into their home by showing you what they have and what they can prepare
Right.
and give you, man. They didn't go to McDonald's. You know what I mean? They didn't go there. I just ordered pizza tonight, man. If it's a different culture and they prepare food for you, get your Tums out, bro. You know what I mean?
Just try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? That's his whole thing. It's like, what's going to happen?
Unless your throat is closing up, man, it's time to eat a lot. And then you
Right.
eat a good portion of every bit, man. And then you come, and you thank you. This is really, really good. But you have to do that, man. They prepared that for you. They bought those ingredients thinking of you and your visit, man. So how are you going to be like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Now you can say for religious reasons, and all of a sudden that changes the game, and they respect that. You know what I mean? Like I don't,
Right.
and I mean, I don't eat meat on Fridays, or you know what I mean, or I don't eat pig, or I don't eat, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or no shellfish, thank you. You know what I mean? But you want to say that before their mom goes out and buys the groceries.
Right. But food is the perfect analogy for this open-minded shit that we're talking about, because if you give yourself a chance to try it, 8 times out of 10, you're actually going to like that shit. People don't eat shit if it's not good. So whatever they're eating is good. Like
cheese curds are good, bro. Barbecue is good, bro.
It's going to be
you
good.
Know what I mean? Like goulash is good, bro. Casserole is good, man. You know what I mean? You need to try it, man. And we need to stop being so me oriented and thinking that everybody's just going to capitulate to what we're doing. As people, we need to capitulate more. we need to be a little bit more accepting, and that'll lead to forgiveness for everybody, and that'll lead to encounters that are genuine, that are good, and that are not offensive for any member involved. It really will.
Well said. Well said. I'm bummed we didn't get to talk about nutrition, but we'll do another podcast and we'll talk about that. Speaking of
You got
food,
it, brother. For sure.
Albert
for sure.
Samano, master trainer. What's your Instagram, bro?
Albert at Albert Samano Fitness is mine, but if you guys go to at Master Trainer Fitness, I haven't posted anything. Please give it a follow, man, because that's the business section that we're building right now.
Yeah, new business, big business coming soon. My guy, Cam Meekins Show. We out of here. Peace.